I didn't see myself yet. I'm waiting to see what I'm. No page. Yeah. Good afternoon, villagers and blessings. I'm thanking God every day for this opportunity, because it is a real opportunity to come here and share what I call true knowledge. I mean, it is knowledge as far as I can know. True knowledge, because that's what we what we want to do. There's a whole lot of other stuff out here, but we want to make sure what we are sharing is true knowledge. So I want to thank my crew. First of all, Lula, Sheila, and Juanita, promote crew, Elijah, Salim, and Chastity. Yes. Of course, I want to thank this good brother here, King Norm, the engineer, for allowing us the space, and my co-host, the King Professor Terry Benjamin, for being here with us. And, of course, you all know me. My name is Ruby Williams Shivers, your unapologetic amateur, still looking for experts, and we're bringing them on, too, in Africanism. I must stress that all the time, because that's a difference. Experts be in a lot of other areas, but there's specific ones in Africanism. Right. And I mean the ones who know about us from the front to the back to the up and the down, from the beginning to the end, you know? So I just want to explain this music, too, because someone asked me a couple of times what the music about. It's a song called The Shadow of Your Love. My sisters and I recorded this some years back, so I don't have to even get permission to play music to this thing, you know. But y'all know my show is geared toward, or basically designed to bring true knowledge to you, because I'm always governed by that scripture. It's Hosea 4:6, I think, that says, my people will perish for lack of knowledge. And we see what that's happening throughout our sojourn here in North America, in the diaspora. The verbiage has been plenty, but not true knowledge. See, we have been stripped of true knowledge, who we were, what happened to us, and who we are now as a result of the stripping. And until we understand, or someone create the understanding for us, we will never get beyond pointing fingers at each other as if we are the culprits. That's right. And that's understandable. I like to make the analogy of this virus that came through. You know, this pandemic? Well, unlike anything we had ever experienced. But we never expected just the average ones of us who had not studied the viruses, right, particularly this one, to come up with any answers. So more than 2 million people perished, and many others were maimed until the virologist or the epidemiologist came up with some research, diagnosis, and cures for what ailed us. Now, why don't we think of our situation just as serious? Because it was more serious. I coined the phrase, the African slave virus 401, meaning that it will need those experts specific to our condition, stripping, to go through the same process. That's right. That's right. Don't just leave such seriousness on any of us. I say we are going to need a combination of 3 types of experts, if you will. It's the faith-based person, not just any faith-based person, but one who professes faith with those who know our connection to the Creator. That's right. The historian, those who know our history from the very beginning, the middle, and now. Number 3, the mental health professional, psychologists and psychiatrists who understand the damage of kidnapping us from our homeland, separating us from our loved ones, abusing our minds and our bodies, and more specifically, stripping us of all things important to a human being.
That's right.
Our culture, our language, our religion, our heritage. See, that's what makes us uniquely different from any other group who had been enslaved or otherwise.
That's right.
None were stripped. And until we understand that difference, we're going to always wonder why we haven't gotten further along.
That's right.
But even with that history, we made strides. We were blocked at every accomplishment, but we still survived. That's a testimony to us as a unique people.
That's right. That's
Now, our guest today is Brother Larry Ham. You know, I feel always
brother.
blessed to have this brother on.
Always.
A brother who is appropriate for the times, any time actually,
That's right.
but especially for these times. Brother Ham has been a staple in our community for almost as long as he's been alive.
That's right.
He was quite a young man when he started. He's still going strong. He's used to the trenches. And aren't we in one now?
That's right.
At least for the next 4 years and beyond. I'm advising my villagers to turn on or to turn off those fake news that keep you depressed and listen to black voices who can keep it real
That's right.
and in perspective. We're going to continue with these voices so we can get a bearing on our reality these days.
That's right. That's
To that end, next Monday, please listen to this podcast.
Yes.
Now, my villagers, I have a message for you next Monday. There's a message for all times, but more specifically for today's time.
Yes.
You know, I lifted this sermon from Sunday service because it was and is that relevant for today's crisis. A message from a black man, Dr. Dante Quick. Now, he is my pastor, a Christian theologian, but don't get it twisted. While he's a Christian theologian, this is a message for all black people, men, women, boy, girl, and any in between.
That's right. That's
You know, our ethnicity was already established when we entered this earth. But our faith, whatever one decided, came later. So please be prepared to listen to the podcast and hear a message that will help to carry you through the next 4 years or beyond.
That's right. That's right.
Simpler, a message from a black man. As I said, the eminent pastor of First Baptist Church of Lincoln Garden, Dr. Quick, who's been educating his congregation to new heights and understanding from the time he came to us a little over 3 years ago, maybe more now. That's next Monday's podcast. So you please tune in.
Yes,
But
please.
right now, I hope we have our guests on. Not yet? Okay, well, if we don't have him on, we're looking forward to him coming on. In the meantime, in between time,
And right now.
right now time, we're going to just kind of bring you all up to date. Well, we don't have to bring you up to date. You know what happened since last Tuesday. Everybody knows what happened since
We're
last
still
Tuesday.
in shock.
Still in total shock, and a lot of us have tried to come through a little by listening to people, like I say, with black voices that I encourage all you to go to. Particularly these two stations that I listen to, Series 126, Series XM, and it happened to be 126 I listen to, or WBAI 99.5, and you name some.
WBGO has some very relevant programming right now, and that's institution. So those programs that we mentioned, those outlets, you really should tune in them now because they're going to give you the news you're not going to get any place else.
Right. Yeah.
And
Because
that's important
there are a lot of folks who traditionally, MSNBC and the rest.
And CNN.
Yeah, I just learned that I haven't listened in 2 weeks to news like that, but I just heard someone say that Joe in the morning and Mika.
That hurt me to my heart. They're going down to Mar-a-Lago.
They've gone already.
Oh,
they
please. That hurts.
was at Mar-a-Lago. It didn't really hurt mine because I expect nothing less. I know Joe and Mika, and I know once they kind of changed over, I knew from the very beginning in 2016 they were very friendly with Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
and leopards sometimes don't change their stripes, or maybe they never do.
Yeah, they just
But one of the
camouflage it a
things I
little
think
bit.
is teaching us right now that we don't always believe uh, people when they're behind someone else's back.
Yeah. And
So,
again, it just goes to show, we have to really save ourselves. I remember back in the day, Gil Scott Heron had a song called Ain't No Such Thing as a Superman, which means that nobody's going to save us but ourselves. So we really have to rely on ourselves. We have to build our own communities, whether it be physical communities or it be media communities.
right.
We really got to feed ourselves what we need to get through these 4 years.
Right, right. Because if it didn't take more than 2 weeks for them to go back and kiss the ring,
Oh, please.
they can say whatever they want, however they want to phrase it. But that's basically what it is. Because this president that we got, it's just not one, even comparable to the other ones that was in, like some of the other Republicans, and not necessarily talking Republican or Democrat. It doesn't bother me that way. It's just that we kind of go to our interests, and our interests happen to be in the Democratic Party at this time. But we were once Republicans, so we follow our interests, and as it should be. I'm not trying to pick this one or that one. I know who's this party, the Republican Party, has turned out to be not a party, but a cult,
A cult, yes.
and a very racist
Oh,
cult.
there's the brother.
There's our brother on right
he's in
now.
transit.
Always, always good to see him. He always got the
Always.
right answer for the right time, and
That's
these
right.
are the right times. So we gotta.
That's the brother. We got to catch him in transit.
Yeah.
He's so busy.
Yeah, I know. Okay. All right.
Can I welcome him in? Yes, my brother. I like to say he's a man that needs no introduction.
No.
But for those who don't know, I'm going to let you hear a little bit about him. This is from his actual book. His book is entitled Larry Ham, A Life in the Struggle. And just a little bit about our brother here, Lawrence Ham, a candidate in New Jersey's Democratic primary for the U.S. Senate in 2024. He has been involved in every major social movement in the state for the last 50 years. As a 19-year-old student activist from Arts High School in Newark, he was appointed to the Newark Board of Education in 1971 by Kenneth Gibson, the city's first black mayor. Ham was inspired to become a community activist because of the example of internationally known playwright, poet, activist Amiri Baraka. A graduate of Princeton University, he was part of the student leadership cadre that had a major campus anti-apartheid protests in the 1970s, years before the anti-apartheid movement became dominant on American campuses. He founded the People's Organization for Progress, POP, in 1983. POP, an independent grassroots organization, became a recognized leader in New Jersey's anti-apartheid and Million Man March movements. A proud father of 3 daughters who are Rutgers graduates, he has been involved in fighting for equality in education, employment opportunities, and access to health care, and against racial profiling and police brutality. POP, joined by Newark's Mayor Ross Baraka and other activist organizations, led a successful nonviolent protest and rally in Newark of more than 10,000 after the 2020 murder of George Floyd. It's a great pleasure that I introduce those who don't know him, Brother Lawrence Ham.
My brother
Good
Ham.
afternoon. Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
good to see you. Always
How are
good
you?
to see you.
Good to
I'm
see you,
always
brother.
encouraged when I see you.
Yes.
We have gone
I,
through.
I apologize.
Mhm.
I am in transit. I had a court case to attend today,
Okay.
and it was a mess
Oh.
because the lawyers is 3 defendants involved. I'm not a lawyer. I was going because I was invited by family members. They wanted moral support.
Yeah.
So the court case was supposed to begin at 1:30. Everybody was there at 1:30 except the judge and the lawyers.
Oh, my
Okay.
goodness. Wow.
And the case didn't actually start until about 3:15.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
And,
Well,
and and why was that? Because they had to go to the prisons to get the prisoners
oh my goodness.
to bring them to the court. I never saw anything like it.
It's crazy.
And
Crazy.
the judge was noticeably upset. I mean, I'm not going to try to explain their mistakes, but
Right.
the fact is, it didn't start until 2 hours after it was supposed to. I thought I was going to be out of there much earlier,
Mm-hmm.
but here I am.
Oh, there
Yes,
you are.
yes. Good to see you.
I'm en route, so I hope you'll bear with me.
Sure.
I didn't do this on
No,
purpose.
we'll make it work, brother. We'll make it work.
Right.
It's just good to see you. Just good to see you, particularly in these
Good to
times.
see you too.
We were talking about how we find ourselves in a situation, and probably over the next 4 years and beyond, that we're going to have to work our way out of it. And we know we've been this route before, even worse. So there's nothing new to us that we got to struggle the way we struggle.
Yes.
We just want to hear our people. Now, I've said to my people, my villagers and other folks, I know I haven't watched the news in over the last 2 weeks. I just can't bring myself to do it. And when I listen to black voices, it always invigorates me to move on in a upward direction.
Yes.
So I suppose that's what's going to bring us through, to hear our people talk about how we may be able to travail through this time.
Yes, yes.
And we just want to hear from you. What do you think about
This is the aftermath. We need you. We need you.
it? Where do we go from here? Hey,
I
where?
don't know if it's an aftermath or a post mortem. I don't know, but something has died inside me.
Where do we go from
yes.
here?
Help us, Brother Ham.
Well, first of all, let me say we're gonna survive Trump.
All
We survived Nixon,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a young man. I was a teenager when Nixon was elected the first time. Was a young man when he was elected the second time, and I can remember how similar the feeling we're having now was to when Nixon got reelected the second time.
Okay. All right.
It was that same feeling because, Nixon was a kind of extension of Goldwater, who ran against LBJ in 1964. And
Okay.
LBJ and Goldwater had reached out to the right wing, to the John Birch Society, and all these other right wing groups.
Remember that.
That was the beginning of the door opening for all of these ultra rightists and white supremacists and neo Confederates to come into the Republican Party. Nixon was an extension of that. He openly, attacked the anti-war movement. He attacked the civil rights movement, and so forth. And people were pretty down when Nixon was reelected the second time. And then, remember his second he was elected with a landslide victory. I think he won every state except one. He won 49 states. And, he seemed pretty invincible. In fact, he seemed so invincible that a committee was formed to mount an effort to amend the Constitution so Nixon could run for a third term.
Wow.
By via the Constitution, the president can only serve 2 consecutive terms.
Yes.
And there was actually a movement afoot to amend the Constitution so Nixon could run for a third term. And then what happened? Watergate.
Yes.
And after Nixon, we had Ronald Reagan.
That's right.
666. Ronald Wilson Reagan. Remember that? 666.
Yes.
And people thought that was the end of the world. And Reagan openly supported the racist apartheid regime.
That's right.
He was openly, anti-civil rights, he was anti-government, really.
Yeah.
He was actually anti-New Deal.
Wow. Yeah.
And he continued Nixon's efforts to undo the gains that we had made during the civil rights movement. But We survived Ronald Reagan.
That's right.
Remember, he was elected to a second term. We
That's right.
survived him.
Yes, yes.
And then we thought the world was going to end with George H.W. Bush. It didn't. And
Yeah,
but and then George W. Bush, the
that's right.
world didn't end, but he did appoint Clarence Thomas,
Oh my
and
word.
Yeah,
so we survived all that. We're going to survive Trump, but I say that to kind of have give people some reassurance that the world is not going to end, but in we are going to have some very difficult days ahead,
Okay.
and it's going to take us a while to work our way out of this. In fact, I mean, I'm 70. I'll be 71 years old in December.
Oh, God bless you.
It may take,
Bless
the rest of my life for us to actually work our way out of this very dangerous situation that we have in the country today. The country elected a fascist as president of the United States.
Yeah.
Make it
And
plain,
he's been
brother. Make
busy
it
in
plain.
the last few days of putting together his fascist cabinet,
Yeah.
Scary.
of lackeys and supplicants and miscreants,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
right-wing nut jobs.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And
You
he's at the
know,
top of the
so
heap. Yeah.
That's a
that's
clown car.
yes,
Mhm.
and so he's not even in office yet,
Yeah,
Right.
that's
and
right.
people see the damage that's being done already. But what we have to do is take a minute, take a breath, pull ourselves back together, strategize and organize, and begin the effort to fight back against the damage that Trump is going to attempt to do
Yes, yes.
over the next 4 years. And one of the ways that we want to take kind of the first steps in the resistance to the second Trump term is with we're going to use Martin Luther King's birthday. We're calling it a day of resistance.
Wow.
And we're calling this year's march on Dr. King's birthday a march of resistance.
Okay. All right.
And that's going to take place on Saturday, January 18th. We're going to meet at the Martin Luther King statue at 495 Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard in Newark, New Jersey. That's near the Hall of Records, near the corner of Springfield Avenue and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. And I want to put the call out to people. We're trying to build a broad coalition for this march because we believe that this can be a demonstration of our determination not to go back without a fight.
That's right. That's
We're
right.
not going to roll over and play dead for Trump. We're going to fight because those things that were won were paid for with lives and blood and suffering. And we're not just going to give up because that's not what our ancestors would want us to do.
That's right.
We're going to have a meeting this coming Monday on Monday, November 25th at 6:00 p.m. We're going to meet at the Bethany Baptist Church at 275 West Market Street in Newark, New Jersey. And we want representatives of any organizations that are interested in helping build this march, the first march in the aftermath of Trump's re-election. We want every organization to send a representative and interested persons also. It's not exclusively for organizational representatives, but what we're trying to do is pull together all the groups that want to fight back.
That's right.
Because we think we need to send a signal, not just to the oppressor, but also to our people that, it's time for us to get up and push aside whatever differences we've had and pull ourselves together so that we can fight for the progress of Black people and oppressed people in this country.
Yes. Yes.
So that's that's how we're going to move forward from this point on.
But now he's
Thank
made
you.
it very clear that he's not going to allow demonstrations or marches or rallies to go forward as before. He's going to turn the police, he said clearly, on
Hmm.
anybody who's doing anything with immunity. So
Right.
why, when we're looking at demonstration and things that we've done in the past and was allowed somewhat to get through with it,
Yes, yes.
what will be the assurance that it's not going to just be a bloodbath? You know what I'm saying? If he
Well,
decides that he's going to turn, he says he's going to turn the army loose on us, and whatever he decides to
hmm
do. And since he has the Supreme Court in his pocket, see, so things
hmm
so much different now than they were before.
hmm yeah, well, there are no assurances. You know, there wasn't an assurance when Dr. King had to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
That's
Right,
right. That's
that's
right.
true.
That's true.
That is so
That's
true.
true.
There
Yeah.
was no assurances. There are no assurances. And what
Mm-hmm.
has happened is that the mask of what some would call bourgeois democracy, the mask has been ripped off.
Yeah.
See, Trump is a fascist, but the fascist movement didn't start with Trump.
Right.
That's
Right.
right.
Fascist movement started with the enslavement of black people.
Yeah.
That's really because black people have lived under a form of fascism for 400 years.
Right.
What has happened with Trump is that he has extended this repression to other parts. One could even argue to a majority of the population.
Oh,
He's
definitely.
not
Yeah,
just going.
yeah,
He's
that's
not
right.
just going to overturn civil rights. He's going to overturn everybody's rights
Everybody's
Yeah.
rights. Yeah,
because
yeah,
he essentially wants to be a dictator.
Yeah, they
You know,
said
they
that,
use
made
they
it very
use the
clear.
word authoritarian, but let me make it clear for people who don't know what authoritarian is. He wants to be a dictator. Look at what he's doing. He's not even in office yet.
That's right. That's
He's
right.
called on the Senate
Yeah.
to go into recess and stay into recess so he can make his appointments to his cabinet
That's
without the
crazy.
approval of the
That's right.
Senate as required by the Constitution of the United States.
Mm.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're in what did Dr. King say? We've got some difficult days
Days
ahead.
Yes,
ahead.
that's right, right,
Yeah,
right.
unlike
But you
any
know what else
other.
he said?
Mm-hmm.
He said it really doesn't matter with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful that you mentioned that because in your book, which I'm still loving very, very much,
Yeah.
and I'm
I'm glad you read
yeah,
it.
I'm gonna make
Thank
each
you.
your own words. Now on page 234, now you said this. You said that Trump revealed the underbelly of this republic and the need for POP and other grassroots organizations to be ever vigilant in their pursuit of a fervent and true democracy. But my question to you is the question that you asked in your book. And your question is it possible to build an independent grassroots organization in an urban community that is not dependent on outside resources and institutions? What say you, my brother? You still believe that?
Yes, I still believe it because POP observed its 42nd anniversary this year. So it can be done, but it's not going to be easy. It is not easy. Look at my hair.
Well, at least you still have some hair.
Yeah.
You think my hair is this white because of natural reason? No, because
Aw.
it's hard.
Yes.
It's hard working with our people.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard.
Yeah.
But
we have the
we must do
tenacity
it.
to
We must.
continue.
We have no choice.
We have no
Right.
choice.
What choice do we have?
Right.
There's really two paths before us: is the path of submission
Mhm.
or the path of resistance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to choose one now. And see, for a while, you know, in the aftermath of the great accomplishments of the civil rights movement, you know, there was a kind of feeling that, you know, that the system isn't as bad as we think. Some people went so far as to say, well, the civil rights movement is over. We got a black president. Racism is over. You know, all of that was an illusion.
That's right. That's right.
And Trump's reelection, first of all, his election proved that. But see, it really wasn't clear. POP was calling Trump a fascist, in 2016. And people were saying, oh, you're being, what's that word, Sister Ruth? You're being hyperbolic. You know, you exaggerating.
Yeah.
Brother Ham, get out of here, Brother Ham, with that left-wing stuff.
Yeah.
Now you can't turn on a major television station where somebody doesn't come on there and say, Trumpet, look, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the penultimate commander of the military forces of the United States, General Milley, a man whose job it was to manage violence, said Donald Trump is a fascist to the core.
To the core, yes.
And he said that earlier this year.
That's right.
You know, he said he's a now if the military, who usually participates in fascist coups, will tell you he's a fascist, why would you doubt it?
Yes,
but now, you know, and then you had these black people running around here, as young people say, caping for Trump, talking about, you know, we could get a better deal with Trump. Trump is gonna show you now. He gonna show you what they say. Brother Terry, you gonna learn today.
That's right. You can F around and find out.
That's right. You F around and find out. That's right.
And it's to find out.
And you know, having said it, I'm not a conspiracy theorist by a long shot, but I don't believe he won this election anyway. You know, if you got a combination of Trump, you got a combination of Putin, Putin, the KGB professional, and Musk, the billionaire or trillionaire. Why wouldn't those three? While they was trying to convince us that the last election was stolen, which they knew it wasn't, but they was diverting our attention so they could steal this election straight out. Right. Now that would make sense by any stretch of the imagination.
I would not doubt the possibility that this election was stolen.
Yeah.
And I would not doubt the participation of Russia in disinformation efforts.
Yes.
But I'm going to say this. If we're going to point out Russia, then we got to point out how Israel has interfered in our election.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They all did, and he knew from
what
the jump
what
he was
organization has spent more money to take out black representatives in Congress than AIPAC. AIPAC took out Jamal Bowman in New York. AIPAC took out Sister Bush out there in Missouri. You know, they took out, remember, not too long ago, when was it, in 2012? They took out Cynthia McKinney down there in Atlanta. Any black person that stands up for human rights and defends the rights of Palestinians for self-determination, they take them out, or they try to take them out. You know, and nobody talks about that. The millions of dollars. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, I'm speaking rhetorically now because I do understand it. Biden hugged Netanyahu like he was hugging a lover and told him, I'll give you everything you need. I'll give you all the weapons you need. We have given them billions of dollars. And just today, he told them that they can use long-range U.S. manufactured weapons to attack Russia. Biden gave Netanyahu everything he asked for and more. And then what did Netanyahu do when he came to the United States? He ran to Mar-a-Lago and met with Donald Trump.
Is that crazy?
So the game is really on them in the end.
He's like the guy that's getting married to one woman, leaves her at the altar to run away with another woman.
Oh, yes.
You know, and this is happening like before our eyes.
Yes, they're not hiding.
You know, so all of these countries interfere in our elections. Saudi Arabia interferes, spends money to meddle in our elections. They give millions of dollars to certain politicians. So it's time for
Because he was
us.
clear he was going to be the president. He wasn't making any bones about it. He said he didn't need
he
another
knew the fix
election.
was
There
in.
was no, the fix was in.
Yeah, yeah.
And when we
Yep.
understand that, then we can understand how we need to go forward in terms of who we're dealing with. Because I believe that he had any honest bone in him at all. He does not, wouldn't you know how to spell that if you ask
Yeah.
him, honestly.
Right. That's right.
Larry,
That's right.
Larry, were we under a delusion that the VP Harris could be elected for president? I mean, were we did we drink the Kool Aid? I mean, were we bamboozled again? Was there ever a possibility of that?
Well, let me say this: if you was bamboozled, I was bamboozled too. Don't feel bad. But
Thank
look,
you.
this is how I saw the election.
Okay.
First of all, if you remember, I think when I came on your show, I've been on your show a few times, so I don't know if it was the last time or the time before that. After I finished the senatorial election, I said to people that I would support the Democratic Party candidate
Yes, yes.
who received the nomination
Mhm.
at the convention.
Okay. All right. I hear you.
So Larry Ham did not make any endorsement before the convention. In fact, I urged people in New Jersey to vote uncommitted in the primary
Whoa, okay.
to send a signal
Yes, a
to the
message.
Biden administration that they had to change their policy on the genocidal war in Gaza.
Yes, yes.
I waited until after the convention, and then this is what happened. Because I was like, well, am I going to be in a trick bag? Because I'm going to, I said I would support whoever the nominee is, and it looked like Biden was going to be the nominee because they didn't run anybody against him
Right.
in all the primaries.
Yes,
And then all of a sudden in July,
yes.
they switched the team of horses. They switched up the horses. No, they took Biden out. It was a coup. It was a coup of another type.
Well, it really, what? It really, though, didn't matter because you had no choice. Look who was running against it. I tell my people there was no real choice. It was not like there was a Republican Party, Democrat. I wouldn't have liked Bush, but he was so different than anything else we had in front of us that there was no question as far as I was concerned. It could have been a dog on the street running against him.
Point,
And so there was no question about who I was going to vote for. I wouldn't care who it was other than him.
Right.
And that people going to see
that's right.
that
So they took Biden out.
Mm-hmm.
They put Harris in.
Yeah.
Harris got the nomination. And then I announced my support for Harris. Because I said essentially what you just said, Sister Ruby. It's like there were like across the country, there was something like, I didn't know it was that many. It was something like almost 20 people running for president as third party or independent candidates.
Yeah.
I said I was supporting Biden Harris, because she was the only one that had enough strength to possibly beat Trump.
Right.
Larry Ham could not get in the ring with a 59-year-old Mike Tyson. He would get my behind at 59. I wouldn't have a chance. My position was Trump had to be defeated, that he was a fascist. I did not accept the position that both parties were the same.
Right, no,
they both bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's a lot.
There's a lot, but
there's a lot we got to fight with the Democrats
to what
about.
Trump was today.
But you can't say that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are exactly the same. I never accepted that.
And that was
Trump
not a Republican Party in the end. It just was not even the Republican Party in it.
Well, it is now. It's his party now.
Yeah,
it
was Trump and his.
It may not have been. It may not have been, but it's Trump's party now. I heard a congressman on the television the other day. He actually said this, Sister Ruby. He said, when Trump tells me to jump, I say, how high? A congressman said this.
That's scary.
Yeah, so
a congressman said, how is it the Republican Party when Trump is not even the president and he can call the Speaker of the House and the minority leader in the Senate and say, I want y'all to reject the
Exactly.
immigrant bill,
And they did
bipartisan
that.
bill. That's his party
That's
now.
his
It
party.
may have
That's
been
what I'm saying.
it may
That's
have
his
been
party.
his party a couple of years ago, but it is the Trump MAGA party now.
That's what it is.
And I said Trump was a fascist. He had to be defeated. And I supported Harris. I had my doubts. I said to people, if you switch horses in the middle of the race, it's going to be a problem because all these people have voted in primaries for Biden, and you just can't. It's not like a light switch. You just can't turn it off and tell them, okay, now we're going. But in the final analysis, I went along with it.
You had no choice
And
as far as I was concerned.
even I began to believe toward as we got close to the election that she had a chance.
Yes, I
did. Because of all the reasons you know.
Right.
And then, you know, the returns came in. But see, and here's my last comment on this part. They trying to make it like it was some kind of landslide. It was a significant victory. But Kamala Harris only lost by 1.7 percentage points. Trump got 50.1% of the vote. She had 48, I think, 0.2% or something like that. 48.
And his was stolen. Let's don't forget that. Let's always express that because they said it out of malice and they knew better. But we know for a fact. Because why wouldn't he? If he had the opportunity with all the, what he had behind
and he won the Electoral College, which blew my mind because Republicans haven't done that in a long, long time. So you can tell me this particular election, he gets what he always wanted.
But he won. They won the elect. That's the only thing they did win the Electoral College because they didn't win majority votes.
Right. Well, he did win the majority votes this time.
Yeah,
he didn't.
Time.
In
I mean,
16,
he stole the majority vote. I'm not going to ever concede.
They got the White House.
That's right.
They got the Senate, and it looks like they're gonna. It's not decided yet. There's still 5 races.
Oh, really?
That have to be called. Yes, there are 5 races that are yet to be called in the House. I read that just this morning. So, but people are saying it's in all likelihood they'll have the House too. So that's a trifecta plus the majority on the Supreme Court that Trump helped to create. So we're faced with a very, very bad.
Because when the Democrats are in, they don't take advantage of the opportunity. Now they could have packed that court. Had that been the Republican, had that been the Republican, the minute they got a chance and they knew what the Republicans did in terms of putting the Supreme Court on, they should have packed the court, or they should have done a whole lot of other things that they would, now be a little safer in trying to maneuver their way to the next election. But there is no chance now. I mean, everything is taken. Everything is stolen. Because I'll always say that.
It's like a fight between one guy that says, I'm going to observe the Queen's rules of pugilism, the Queen's rules of boxing, and another guy that's like a street fighter. We're going to do everything. We're going to throw dirt in your eyes. We're going to kick you when you're down. You can't use the Queen's rules with people like that.
Yeah.
You can't.
You're right, Sister Ruby. The Democrats got to learn. They got to learn how to fight back.
Yeah.
And fight to hold on to power.
Yeah.
But, what was coming up, we got a gubernatorial election coming up, and we need to be continuing to educate, because you do it through your show and other people do it in other ways. We have to continue to educate people on the importance of vote, because here's one truth that's inescapable. Had half the people, just half the people, half of Kamala Harris got 8 million votes less than Joe Biden did in 20. If just half them people had come out, she'd be the president.
Isn't that something? Now that's a shame.
And then they said there was like 10 million people who just did not vote.
10 million people. But we didn't even need them. If the 8 million that didn't come out this time, that came out last time, if just half of them had come out it'd be a different situation.
Wow.
But they said don't make a difference, but they're gonna find
They'll
out.
find out soon
They're gonna
enough.
find out
They
when
gonna
they try
find
to
out.
privatize Social
Really.
Security.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh.
They're gonna find
Yeah.
out when they cut back Medicare.
That's
Yeah.
right.
They're gonna find out when they try to eliminate the Department of Education and all
My
the
goodness.
educational programs, college and public school programs that come through the Department of Education. They're gonna find out. They're gonna find out when Trump sends the army. Just today, before I got on this call, a notice came to me that said Trump is going to use the military
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
to
Yeah, we talked
deport
about that.
people.
Yeah.
He going to go on the job and drag them off
Oh my
jobs,
goodness. Wow.
drag them out of their houses,
Wow, yeah.
go into the schools and drag their children out of school. They're going to find out
Yeah.
We're gonna find
that
out.
politics does affect their lives.
That's right. That's right.
They're going to
Yeah.
find out when it's against the law, not just in Florida, but in states across the country to teach Black history.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
They're going to find out. They're going to find out when Trump gives federal immunity to police officers so we can't even drag them into court,
Right.
much less
Exactly.
get a
That's
guilty
right.
verdict. They're going to find out. They're going to find out when they overturn, and this is what I predict, they are going to try to overturn what's left of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
Yeah.
They're going to find out.
That's
Mhm.
right. That's right.
Mhm.
They're going to find out
Yeah. Yeah.
that
And-
politics does affect your life,
That's right.
Yeah.
that
That's
it
right.
does make a difference, that voting is important.
That's right. It is.
But you know, it's something, it's human nature, because if you look at the history, if you look at the history of World War II,
Mhm.
you know, Hitler occupied countries.
Mhm.
The Germans marched into France and not a shot was fired.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
They occupied what we call the Netherlands today. They took parts of Czechoslovakia and Poland and so on and so forth. You know, the truth of the matter is that some people do accept slavery and oppression.
Yeah, that's right.
That's-
Yeah. They had no problem with it.
You know, even amongst our people, I was listening. I don't know, sister and brother, have y'all ever listened to the recorded version of Nat Turner's story,
No, I never have.
the Nat Turner
Nat-
Rebellion?
Mhm.
You know the actor Brock Peters?
Yes.
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 Mhm.
Yes.
Y'all need to go online, just go online,
Okay.
go on YouTube and put in Nat Turner by Brock Peters
Mhm.
or Nat Turner and Brock Peters. It'll come up.
Mhm.
He does an oral recitation of Nat Turner's confessions,
Mhm.
the original confession.
All right. Check it out.
And when you think about it, at most about 55 or 60 men rode with Nat Turner.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But there was a whole lot more slaves than that.
That's right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well,
A
do
whole lot more.
you think?
What did Harriet Tubman say? She said, I could have freed even more
Yeah.
Mhm.
if I could have made them understand that they were slaves.
Right.
That's a good
So
point.
the question that I asked you came. That's a great bring into what I'm trying to say and what
Yes.
we tried to do on this show here.
Mhm.
We make the
Mhm.
point. I make the point specifically that there is a stripping that was done us that was not done to any other group of people, enslaved or otherwise, in the history of the world and even biblical. You don't find even biblical history that shows you where anybody was stripped. So that's what make us uniquely different. What I'm trying to
Yes.
bring forth, when you hear me say I'm an unapologetic amateur looking for experts in Africanism, I mean those folks who can go deep. And I make the analogy of the virus. You know, God gives me these analogies. I make that when that came in, it was unlike anything we had ever seen in our lifetime. We understood clearly enough, quickly enough anyway, that it was going to take someone who has studied that virus, those viruses specifically, not the cold, not the flu, but this particular virus. And we didn't ask for anyone else. We didn't go around look. Even I tell the story. I went to my primary doctor, and I asked him. Wanted to ask some questions about the virus. He said, I am not the expert. So he was an expert in what he was an expert in, doctor, but he knew that he was not an expert in this particular virus. Right, yeah. So why do we think we were the only people who were stripped of our language, our culture, our heritage, our everything? So why do we think we should be considered, even amongst other folks? That's why I'm trying to redefine or have people to redefine that whole thing of us being enslaved. Because when we say that, our people will say, well, we even enslaved ourselves. Well, if we enslaved ourselves, if there was slavery, and it didn't compare to what we went through in the 200 years in these in the diaspora. Right. Why then we don't make that known to say then we need to do something as specific as those as the pandemic, the people who the virologists or the epidemiologists, we need special people to go in on us to find out what happened to us that make even the 1, 2, or 3 black men who they claim voted for Trump. I don't believe that. But if that were the case, we look at the 80% that didn't, or the Hispanic men that they say, what, 40%? If that's the case, there's something wrong with the brain. And I'm not a psychologist, but I have common sense to know that if you've been stripped, and they don't even understand that they got the black blood in them, they want to be white. Well, that's what I hear anyway. Let me tell you. But in any case, that's another conversation. But in any case, there got to be a reason. No one does anything in his against his best interest. If you know better, you do better. So something tells me we need to go real deep within us to tell people so they'll know we know something had to happen to us. They won't think we just came here with that kind of defect, because that's a defect. And if we can't, if we believe our history, Brother Ham, if we believe our history, what we've been taught about us being the greatest this, the greatest that, we were the first humanity on the earth, then what happened to us when we came through the Middle Passage? Something had to have happened. So we need to get to that. We need to get to that, Brother Ham. And I declare that until we recognize that as the main source of whatever's happening to us, we're going to forever point fingers at our people. Like our black men, the few that they did vote for Trump. Even there, we got to know that we cannot have ourselves separated by folks who create these barriers that we have not dealt with yet. Because no one will vote against their interests like what I hear that the Hispanic men did.
Not in their rational mind.
Right, what I'm saying, not in their rational mind. And not being a mental health professional, I'm not claiming that. It's just common sense. Like my mom would say, common sense tells me something. That's right. So we're gonna have to.
Well, I agree with everything you said, Sister Ruby. That our situation is unlike any. And that what happened to us is like unlike anything that happened to anybody else, probably in recorded history.
In recorded history, or biblical history. I don't read anywhere.
And that's why it must be studied, and that's why we must have reparations.
Yeah. Oh my
for
goodness.
what was done to us. We must have reparations. But here's the thing. Here's the rub. Trump just said yesterday he gonna give the white people reparations.
I was telling Queen Ruby at this morning, reparations for white people.
That's what we should have concentrated on first. I mean, I'm using that, but I'm not blaming us. I would never do that. But that's what we should have concentrated on. We wouldn't have needed affirmative action. We wouldn't have needed DEI. We wouldn't have needed any of these programs. Because if we had gotten reparation, we'd have been on the same footing as anyone else.
That's right.
Money is what taught. But we didn't. It's not our fault because we certainly knew that we needed that.
But Trump said he's going to give reparations to the white people who have suffered because of affirmative action, who have suffered because of DEI, who have suffered because we have sued them for discrimination. All these white people have suffered so much. So he going to take the money, the little pennies you have, and give them to the people who already got all the
I'm
pennies.
just curious as to what really going to happen. I mean, I don't see us working our way through this. Maybe I need to more confident. That's why I'm continuing to listen. I was saying, Brother Ham, I'm having, I sort of lifted the sermon from my pastor. You know him,
Hmm.
Pastor Quick, for last Sunday. He's going to be on next Monday. It is so true, and it's for black people. You know, I say he's a Christian theologian, but has nothing to do. Don't get it twisted. He speaks for all of us, black folks across
All
the
right.
board.
Yes.
And I'm going to
All
bring
right.
that sermon on because I think it is so worthwhile
It's
to
timely.
listen
It's
and timely for what
Yes,
he has to
yes,
say
yes.
to us about what is happening in our life and how we have to move forward and keep going. But don't
That's right.
forget the reality of where we what's happening to us
Oh,
now.
my goodness.
So I
That's
want
right. That's right.
everyone, my villagers, be sure to listen in next Monday
Next
because
Monday.
it's going to be on. I advise all of you. That's why I bring folks in like Brother Ham and my pastor and other people who can give us
This is the
some
book.
different perspective on what we're going through. Because it's not easy. I haven't listened to a radio. I haven't listened to news, a regular news channel,
I understand.
for 2 weeks. You know, and while I know that we got to stay abreast and got to stay informed, I listen to
Black Voices, yeah.
Black Voices,
Karen Hunter, like you
a
said.
series
Yeah.
of
Yes.
series
Yes.
and
Brother
WABC.
Greg Carr,
Yeah,
Brother Greg
Greg
Carr,
Oh my
yes,
goodness,
yes,
yeah.
those kind
Brother
of people.
Gerald Horn, Brother
Yes,
Dr.
my
Gerald
word.
Horn.
Say
Yes,
their names.
yeah.
Say their names.
That's what made me. That changed my mind, brother Ham. The Tuesday, that Tuesday, I didn't listen until that Tuesday morning, and then I realized who had won. I was so taken aback. Got up around 6 o'clock, and I said I was not going to continue my podcast. And my
Mm.
grandson called me because he knows what my feelings were about Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So he said,
Mm-hmm.
Nana, how are you doing? I said, I'm not. I just don't think I'm going to continue. He got real upset. He got real excited. Nana, I know you're not going to just. And within 10, 15 minutes, I had about 20 calls. I guess. I don't know what they thought I intended to do, but it was nothing
They
like
said,
that.
do
Sister
that.
Ruby,
So,
you
but
gotta stay
around
on
seven,
the air.
around 7 o'clock, I
that.
turned on to Dr. Greg, is that what his name?
Greg Carr.
Mhm. Greg Carr.
And it changed my mind because it comes from a different perspective. So
beautiful.
that's when I realized that I got to encourage my people to listen to folks other than that news channel,
That's right.
because that was not, get you where you need to be. So that's
Right.
one of the things that changed my mind. So I'm so appreciative. I'm always proud, always glad to have people like yourself on that can give us another perspective. That can. They've been in the fight for longer than we want to be,
That's right.
but we've been in the fight for all our lives. They brought us over here, stole us from our homeland, so we know what fighting is all about.
That's right. So when we fight, we win. You're right.
Yeah,
We
going
fight, we win. We got to fight.
Yeah,
What did Frederick Douglass say? If there is no struggle,
but
there is
that's
no
right.
progress.
That's
right.
right. That's right.
Man, oh man. You know, we're at a situation now, not unlike where our people were in the election of 1866 that resulted in the Tilden Hayes Compromise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we were sold out during the Tilden Hayes Compromise. They couldn't. It was just like, these past few elections. One got the electoral vote and one got the popular vote. So they made a deal. The Democrats told Republican that Hayes could be in the White House, but Congress had to withdraw the troops out of the South.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was those federal troops in the South that were the guarantors of our political rights. And, it was like when they did that, a lot of our people felt the way they probably feel now,
Right now. Yeah.
somewhat filled with despair and hopelessness. But this situation can't be any more hopeless than our situation was before the Civil War.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we had been enslaved. When you talk about enslavement of Africans in the Western Hemisphere, that's 500 years. The first Africans didn't come. I'm talking about the first Africans during the slave trade. They didn't come in 1619. The first settlement was St. Augustine, Florida, by the Spanish.
Mhm.
The Spanish brought African slaves here.
Wow.
And that was, I think, 1565.
Mhm.
You know, that was quite a while before. That was almost a century before 1619.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Okay.
you know, in the Western Hemisphere, African slavery is, when you count from the time
Mhm.
Africans were brought to the Caribbean, because that's where we were brought in large numbers first, to the Caribbean.
Right.
Yes, yes.
After the enslavement of the indigenous people didn't work out. And then, so we're talking really about, at least on the continent of North America, and the Caribbean, 400 years of enslavement. Imagine that. Imagine if you were a young person and you knew that your mother, your grandparents, and your great grandparents had been slaves. It would look hopeless. It
Yeah,
seemed
right.
like you
Yeah. That's
look,
why
look
you
how
got
did
no
they
history.
feel?
You got no history.
Right. How did they feel after the Nat Turner? Nat
Yeah.
Turner rebellion did not succeed.
Um,
They killed Nat Turner, and they killed 200 black people that had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the rebellion.
Oh, my
mhm.
goodness.
Yeah. Well, did I tell you, my brother, we're going to bring you back again because I see our time is up. I'm so glad I didn't comment
Oh
on
no,
my
our
folks.
time came to
Yeah,
an end.
we're going to just
The
shout out
time
to
for
Gina
liberation
Robinson.
is
We
never
can't go
up.
back. We're going to shout out to Wakia Lewis. Yes, we're going to shout out to Robert Cabbage Dog, Tiffany Barker. Oh, my goodness, Wakia Lewis. Cotton, just bring it up a little bit because I know there's a lot more, and I saw it earlier.
Our villagers.
But our villagers, I don't see you all, but I do appreciate you being on. You know, when we just, sometimes we just have to go with what we got. But it's not rolling like I want it. But in any case, for all of you who are there, believe me, I appreciate it. You are villagers, and we feel like we're in the village every time we get with you. So we appreciate you, and be sure to watch next week. We're going to have a terrific show. We're going to always bring black voices because that's who we have to depend on to keep us real and keep us on the right path because we're going to win. Believe me, we're going to
Thank you,
win.
Brother Ham.
Okay, you're bringing it
That's
up.
right.
Tiffany Barker, okay, bring it up a little bit. Say he doesn't care about the Constitution. He thinks he is the Constitution. That is so true. Jabbar, my nephew, great show. He said, Lloyd say, damn, I love listening to the brother. Everybody loves listening to Larry Ham. Okay, Dina Robinson, yep, nephew, he's awesome. Wakia say, all right, brother Larry Ham, okay. Jabbar asked our guest what is his opinion on Dr. Claude Anderson's book on Powernomics and black labor and white wealth. Okay,
That's
we're going to
another
ask him.
discussion.
I love
He got
Dr.
the
Claude
Lulu
Anderson. I
Saturday
love
watching
Claude
Dina's. Yes, he said he didn't need any more votes. Juanita McClure, true that. Nina Robinson again, Wakia. Okay, y'all just keep looking, keep praying for us, because we're going to survive. We will survive.
Yes, we will.
Okay, next week now.
Come.
See you soon, Villager.
And
All right,
Thank
press
take
you.
those
care.
subscribe buttons too.
Beautiful show.
Oh, my brother.